All right. Okay, all yours.
Okay. Ooh, just give me a second. Okay, so I start my analysis every morning. I go in and I look at my charts. Well, I do like every month. I look at more in depth, and then every week more, and then every day I go in and look at the daily. So I'll start here. This I'm just looking at the ES. I do both ES and NQ. So like new, I do it from top down analysis, and I'll start.
Before you start, tell us what platform you are using.
Okay, so I chart on TOS on Thinkorswim, and I
Okay.
like to chart on Thinkorswim only because I've been using it since the beginning. So it's really easy for me to do it. So I chart on Thinkorswim, and then I have my charts open, and I'll execute in NinjaTrader or TradeOvate or Nitro. But I always have I have two screens, so I always have my Thinkorswim open on the second screen, and then I have all my trading platforms on my first screen. And then I'll look back to see where my points of interest are, and then I'll execute once it hits that. So I don't chart on like 4 or 5 different platforms, just this one, and then I just wait.
Okay.
So this platform is Thinkorswim, and then what I do is I I look at the yearly only, like if it's the year, and then I'll go down, I'll drill down to look at the trend on the monthly. And what I do is, if you look at some of my, like if you look at this crazy one on the right, on the left here, I'm a supply, demand, and resistance, support resistance trader, and sometimes I draw a trend line at fibs. So it looks really crazy. And then I also look at Asian high, Asian low, London high, London low, pre-market high, pre-market low, and I mark all those lines in the beginning before I start trading.
Okay. And
So
those become your probably potential resistance because they are zones.
Um, yeah, sometimes like I'll look, I have it on there like my pre-market high, pre-market low, Asian high, Asian low, London high, London low. I don't usually trade off of those, but like if I see liquidity sweep above and back below, then
Hmm.
sometimes I'll put on a trade.
Okay.
But those are not usually the trades that I look for. The trades I look for are for my supply demand trades. Those are like my bread and butter. Those are the trades that I execute. I mainly execute on.
Okay.
So it's just good to have like a few strategies, because sometimes not all the strategies work. Okay, give me a second, okay?
Yeah. All right. While we're waiting for her, let me see if I can move some of these. I'm trying to do a recording right here, but somehow I get all these. I get our names here, and I wanted to give more space to the charting area instead of showing our names.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. Babies.
It's fine.
Okay. So again, I look at the trend. I'll find where I am, and I go down my weekly, and I look at all these, but I also like while I'm looking at it, I chart all my demand zones and supply zones, and then go down my daily, and I go down, and then my result looks like this. So you guys can see how crazy it is.
Hmm.
See, so all of my like demand zones, for example, let me do a clean chart. I look at rally, base rally, drop base rally, all those stuff, if you know anything about supply and demand zones. And I chart my zones like this, so I just go in. And this I'll see as a potential demand, where this red um, candle is, and it's a strong bull candle.
Yeah.
And I'll mark that as my level. And then my colors, each of my colors mean different things. So like if I have this light blue, oops, if I have this light blue, it means it's a daily demand. So I know like if I'm on my 1 minute time frame,
Yeah. And when you see a dark blue, then you
yeah,
know
and
that
when I see
that's a very highly time frame demand.
yeah, so if I
Okay.
see like a solid light blue, I know that's my daily demand zone, and that's probably a higher probability of it trading, bouncing from that zone. But you also have to wait until you see a reaction because the demand zones are bigger than a supply demand zone you would see on like a 5 minute or 15 minute or a 30 minute demand zone. Because if you look at ES, you look at 5701 to 5674. That's a really big demand zone.
Hmm.
So sometimes I look for a reaction to come down into the zone and then back up, and then I'll enter my trade.
Now let me ask you, how do you classify a zone being a demand zone?
So okay, and for a demand zone, I look for a rally based rally or yeah, just a rally based rally or what's the other one or a drop based rally. So something like rally here base with a red candle and then a strong green move up. That's my demand zone down here.
Okay.
Let's see, or a rally. See if we can find one. Yeah, we could do like a drop down here and a red candle and then a green candle move up. So that would be like a drop base rally. So that would be my demand zone there. But this to me isn't really a strong demand zone because if you look, it consolidates a lot in this area. So like demand zones and supply zones are areas where you think market makers are going to come back in and they have a lot of orders there that needs to be filled. So if I look at this, a lot of consolidation there, then I typically don't see it as a strong zone, so I don't really take it. I usually wait for other confirmations.
Okay.
But supply zones are basically, let me see if I can find one. Probably in a 4 minute, 4 hour. Probably see one. Let's see if I can find a good one here. So I could probably say this is like a 4 hour right here, but I probably will come up here to start my zone
Mm.
because the wick, there's
Okay.
two wicks here, so that's probably I would see that as a stronger reaction than being coming down here to the base of the candle.
Okay.
So like um, those would be my supply zones, and then of course like if it comes down here and comes down below the candle and it comes back up like breaks below the zone, then that zone is invalidated. So I don't look at the zone anymore. When it does that, then that particular zone becomes like a support resistance for me now. So then that's how I get my support resistance line. So I don't draw support resistance typically like a lot of other people, where they just look for areas. My supply demand zone becomes my support resistance,
Mm.
especially if I see like a lot of reaction in that area. Because sometimes I'll come in, touch my zone, come back out, come in, touch the zone 3, 4, 5 times. If it does that, then typically I like to use I will really like to use that more as my support resistance zone because a lot of reaction in that area. But you also have to be careful because a lot of reaction means doesn't it's already been used up and tested so many times. So that's how I usually do it, like drop down analysis, top down, looking at all my zones, looking at my supply, my resistance and support, and then after that, like I'll look at candle structure, so I'll look at like my resistance, my just to see if there's any patterns that I can see. So I'll draw like my trend lines, I'll draw my trend lines. You see I drew some over here already. I'll start drawing my trend lines. I'll start drawing patterns, and then what I do typically when I draw fib lines, I like to look at daily mainly to draw my fib lines.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look at it, um, now I'll start from here if I see one. Um, I drew one here one time. I drew this one a few weeks ago to see like where it will come down to. So it came down to here. Like, and I'll watch these fib zones as well.
Yep.
And then um, that's like pretty much it that I do. So it's not like it's a lot of work, but if I do it every single day, then and I update my lines and the zones, the supply and demand zones get updated every day too because sometimes during the session it gets invalidated. Then I have to remove it. Then it creates new supply and demand zones. So the next day I redraw them again. especially like if I'm looking at a lower time frame zones like
Right. So,
5 to 10 minutes.
uh, I guys, don't let me just be the one talking or asking questions. When you have the higher time frame, uh, how do you get trades every day? If you look at the higher time frame, you're looking for the zones to hit. There are days where you would just sit, right? So how do you narrow it down so that you don't want to overtrade, but you don't want to miss
Right.
opportunities either? So if you look at only the daytime, I mean at the D1 zones or supply and demand, how do you get trades? Because it seems like you do get trades almost every day.
So I draw my demand and supply and demand zones on my daily time frame, and I go down to the 12 hour. Then I look and I draw another supply demand zone on my 12 hours. See, so I see one right here, a demand zone right here. And then I'll go in to like my 6 hour, right? So I drill down all my time frames to see where I could find the most reaction and like
Mm.
the strongest zone. My 4 hour, I'll come down here to the 4 hour and I'll draw my zones. Like I like this one right here. It's already tested once, but this one down here is a
Yeah.
good 4 hour. It's tested once, but that's only one time, so I might trade again. And see, so once I start drawing all this and I do my colors, so I know which zone's which, I guarantee almost every time I always have one or two trades I can put on. Because I go down to my 2 hour, I go down to the 1 hour. Lowest I go down is the 15 minutes to draw my zone. And when I draw 15-minute zones, they're usually not as strong. Sometimes they are, but I always get like a trade, at least one or two trades in there. And that's why it's also good to have like multiple setups. So I not only do supply demand zone, I have my support resistance I could trade off on. I have the trend lines I trade off on. I have the Asian high, Asian low, pre-market high, pre-market low that I trade off on. A prior day's high, prior day's low. I have that too, so I trade off those lines too. So I have like a few different strategies that I use. So just not supply demand zone. I trade VWAP bounces. So I have my VWAP. I don't see it on here, but this is how my typical trade looks like. I have my 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, 30 minute, 1 hour, 2 hours up. And you see how the white line here is my VWAP. So I trade VWAP bounces too. So when it comes down there, so I always have like 4 or 5 different strategies. So I can always play off one if I don't have the other. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So
Okay.
it's good to have that.
Right.
Like for example, here I see this little on the 15 minute. Looks like a little doji here. I might, if it comes down below here and it becomes like all the way down here to the bounce here to the VWAP, I might even trade that bounce because right now looking like it's an uptrend for me. So I might I might look for a bounce down here to trade the rally back up. So that's that's how I trade. That's why sometimes if I don't get those supply demand zones, I have other strategies I could trade.
Right. Now, can you drill down on a current time frame a little bit more? Because as some of these YouTubers, they always do presentation, but always back on old data, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
one of the questions I always have is, okay, so based on what we talked about, looking at this, what would be a good play, say within the next couple hours, as you already mentioned, that one of them would be a VWAP bounce. What other things you could see that within the next, say, 4 hours could be a play?
So I won't know because I haven't even honestly haven't done my charts yet. I don't usually do my charts like on Monday morning. I'll wake up a little earlier and then I go through it and I'll redo all my zones and my lines.
Mm-hmm.
But um, let's see here. I can do it. Let me do it real quick so you guys can see. Stop. So like as you can see, it's hard to see because I have so many lines, but I've been doing it so long that I just kind of know like
Do you ever go back and delete some of these or do a cleanup?
So I do. If I do go back and delete it, I do go back and delete like my supply and demand zones.
Okay.
But I keep all of my supply and demands. No, I go back and delete my support resistance. But I keep all of my supply and demand zones. If it's not broken, then I keep them all. If they are broken, then I delete them. But like if they're still fresh and new, they only have one two touch and it's not invalidated, then I keep them on forever. Like you could see, as you can see, I still keep a bunch of lines down here, and that's because like if the market decides to come back down there, then I know I still have a supply demand zone down there. I don't have to go back all the way back to the past to redraw it. So like I still leave a lot of my lines on there.
that's 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 a lot of lines you have, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
yeah, I know. Actually, I could actually remove these ones down here, the contract rollover. Like I like to have the contract rollover ones on there. But yeah, I know these are a lot. That's why I said like I don't really want to share because you guys could be like, oh, she has so much going on. But it works for me. So I'll go here. I'll take this fib. I drew this fib last week, so I'll just take this one. All right.
What size screens do you have? This how can you actually see all these within the drawing? If you have a
Oh
good
yeah.
screen size, and then
Uh,
you must have a very large screen size.
I I'm not really big. I think this is a 35,
That's
33,
big.
35.
My
Oh, that's
biggest is only 27.
yeah. So I have that, and then but this is not the screen I'm really looking at. Like when I trade, I have these. So I really look at the 1 hour. I mean the 1 minute and the 5 minutes and the 15 minute when I trade because like if you go down to these lower levels, the lines don't look as crazy.
Right,
So
right,
it's
right.
e- so it's easy for me. You see, like it's easy for me to come down here. I have a 2 hour demand zone down here on this gray line,
Hmm.
and I might even be looking for it to come down and bounce this. But don't put this line on your guys' chart because I have to go back in and update first.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like if I had this line and you're telling me you're gonna ask me, oh, what are you gonna see in like a few hours? If I have this demand zone down here, this would be what I'm eyeing, what I would be looking at, like what I'm waiting for in the next few hours. Come down, maybe try a VWAP. If VWAP doesn't work, then I wait for this one down, this light down here. You know, so like that. So I can't tell you really what I'm looking at right now because I haven't updated my lines yet. But
So you don't have the
oh,
formal
you just
urge like some of us and just okay, look, the market is going up. Where if we're gonna wait for the market
It's very
to
personal.
retrace.
yeah. No, I don't trade it just because I see like it's going up because they could always do a liquidity sweep. They could trick you. They could go up here on this high and then just sweep back down. So I like to wait for confirmation on my levels first. So if it comes down, if it goes up, if I have like a supply zone, like let's pretend this is my prior day's high. If this is actually a daily supply zone, then it comes out, then I might even take this. I would say this is the line. 57.97 is where I'm waiting for a for uh for a short. But
Hey,
uh-huh.
how do you add those previous day high prices on your TOS? I never use TOS for my charting. I always use TradingView, but can you
Hmm.
show us how to add those on TOS?
I just do it manually.
Oh, okay.
So
How do you do?
I
Mhm.
just go to my daily and then I just create the line, just and then I just look at this candle
Uh-huh.
right here, and then on the top it will say
Oh,
like high right there, candle high, and I just put in my 57.97. But I actually do have a
so there isn't an indicator that automatically does it for you, like TradingView, right?
no, there's none, but I do have it. There is an edit. Actually, I can't say that. There is an indicator that does it,
Okay.
but I don't like it. Like
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
I think I tried it a few times and
Hmm.
it didn't work right. So that's why
Okay.
I prefer to draw it myself.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Like same thing. I have an indicator that drew all of the pre-market highs, pre-market low right before market
Hmm.
start, but it wasn't like I did it. I tried that a few times and it wasn't correct. So I just started drawing it on my own.
Hmm.
And like if I have everything set up, then it doesn't take me very long. Probably like 30 minutes to go in, update all my lines, relook at all
Hmm.
my zones, and then come up with my plan, what I'm going to do for the day.
No, I
Um,
love it. I love all your charts. Very personal.
thanks.
Stu should come here so that way he knows why we can't give signals to them
Yeah,
because it's very personal.
it's like I can't, like I don't just go I'm going long because it looks like it's rallying, like it has to be. if I'm going to long, it has to be like, oh, it came down to my demand zone, and then now it's rallying. So now I'm going to long because it actually reacted off one of my zones. Like if it doesn't react off any of my zones, then I'm just chasing it, and the probability of it being right and me making money is really low.
Okay.
Yeah.
Only scalpers have clean charts.
Yeah. Sometimes I look at if you look at my like smaller ones, I have these all these lines right here are moving averages. I have these my moving averages too, so it kind of like I use it to kind of tell me kind of okay, is it coming back down? Now that's coming back down, is it going to bounce? But yeah, I tried if I do a clean chart, like I feel like I'm blind. Like I don't, you know.
So,
I,
what?
I
Go ahead.
go ahead.
You go first,
Go
Jay.
ahead. Uh, I was gonna say that scalpers. I mean, we have clean charts because we just. I mean, for me, I just use VWAP and the two EMA as a guidance, and so and then the price action. And
Yeah,
so
see, when I first started, that's what I did. I started with EMAs, so I just used the EMAs. I didn't even use VWAP. I just used the 921, and I was, that's what everybody starts with. I think just crossover, but when you're in a consolidation, then you just get chopped up and just like it just keeps, then you just lose. So that's why I started using my supply and demand zones because even if it's consolidating, like I know where my zone is invalidated and where I'm wrong. And most of the time, if it's a strong zone that I'm entering in, even if it chops around in that zone, it'll still go in my direction if I can, if I manage my risk correctly. That's why I said like I don't really have a an amount that I'm risking. I just have it where my zones are invalidated because once it goes down and invalidates that zone, then I know my trade thesis is not right. So that's why like I still have my EMAs because I started with it, but I don't use it as often because I just like my supply demand zones. It just works better for me. The only time
Okay.
really that I do use the EMAs and I can say I'll say that now is because like on a trending day, like if it just keeps going up, like sometimes it does a slow grind up or slow grind down, and I see it just keeps trending, then I might go in like a low size, small size, doing trying to take like a EMA bounce from that, but that's those I don't usually trade EMAs at all.
Faye, if you don't mind me asking, how long have you been trading?
Like 3 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I traded. I started with options. Actually, I started doing iron condors, and I
Mm-hmm.
made I started iron condors like I can't remember which year I started, but my first year trading and doing iron condors. Trading was doing iron condors, and I made like 10 15,000 in that month. So I was
Mm-hmm.
really excited, right? So I was like, oh man, I want to make a lot of money. And then the next month, I lost all my money. So then I went from iron condors to doing options, and I just kept losing the options over and over and over again.
Are you doing directional options?
Yeah,
Like
I
the
went.
okay, I see.
So I went from like iron condors, and I started doing directional, just puts or calls for a little bit, and it didn't work. And then I found prop firms, so I started to think, okay, let me do futures because then I don't have to worry about the Greeks. You know what I mean? So I
Mm-hmm.
could just concentrate on just price action because the Greeks was really was messing me up because I would go in like zero ODT or I'll
Mm-hmm.
do like 1 or 2 day trades, and it didn't work for me. So I started doing futures, and then I found prop firms because I didn't have any money. I lost all my savings at that point trading options. Then I started
Mm-hmm.
trading futures, and then I started refining my strategy. Working more on my supply and demand zones and support resistance and then my trend lines. So like I think futures gave me. I might go back to options, if this works
Mm-hmm.
better. But futures gave me the starting point on refining my strategy because I don't have to worry about theta and all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like you're very advanced. You're very advanced. So
No, I'm still learning. I say I'm very
this
advanced, but
this is advanced charting, Faye. I'm not kidding you. This is advanced. So you should be very proud of yourself. You're very advanced.
I'll probably say that like when I start making all my money back from my
You
losses.
are. You are making money already, girl.
But yeah. So I do this like every morning. I wake up, I go in, I update all my lines. I look at direction, the trend. I draw in my trend lines, my fibs. I remove all of my pre-market high, pre-market low lines. I remove all my supply demand zones if they don't work anymore, and then I do new ones. And then after that, I wait for market open. If I'm done, then I'll sometimes take a trade before the market opens. But usually, like all my trades, I kind of wait till the market is open and I see reactions before I take my trade. And
So can you give us like an analysis like of this week where you think that the ES will go to, or like the top and bottom of ES for this week?
yeah, I can take a look at it because
Hey, Pay, before you do that, can you answer one question?
yeah,
Were you doing Papa before I start posting in that home group, or did I start posting and then you got into Papa afterward?
I did prop firms. I think a few months before you started posting in the group because
Okay, so
I
probably July or June or July of 22 that you started.
because what I did was I was losing all the time on doing options. So then I was like, okay, I need to rethink my strategy. So I joined the Hmong trading group, and then I found one guy on there that does futures trading, and then I joined his Discord, and he was talking about prop firms because that's how he started. He was losing a lot of money, then he started trading prop firms. Then he built his personal account, and now he trades his personal account. So that's when I started learning about prop firms. He's traded with, I think he had Top Step at that time, and another prop firm. I can't remember which it was. It was very new at that time. There was hardly any prop firms like it was now. Like there wasn't as
Just
many.
When
offset
was that?
Apex.
That was back like what was it, Jay? 2002.
Yeah, no, should be around June or around 2022.
Yeah, it was around that time. It was like still very new. Like prop firms was new to futures, and so he was talking about it. And I said, "Oh, that's interesting. I don't have to risk any of my money, and I can trade and refine my strategy." So I joined, and then I started, interacting more in the group, and that's how like I saw you posting on there. But I did join, I think a few months before you, and I started with
Dad,
Apex.
Yeah,
I need help with
Actually I started
something.
with Top Step. I played Top Step for like 2 months, and
I'm on
then
a
I
call.
switched to Apex because Apex was cheaper.
All right. Let me also just say a few things about that. So before that, all the prop firms were pretty much in the forex space, but when MetaQuote started banning people or firms from using their platforms to do props, and then that was when all the prop firms went to futures. So that was right about, I want to say, probably the beginning of 22, and that's when all the prop firms started doing futures. And I think the futures was always there, which is not very popular. People were very interested in the forex prop firm space until everybody got kicked out. So I just want to add that in there.
Oh, okay.
So what year
Yeah,
was
I
that?
started Forex too. I started Forex in 2018, and it was very hard. I lost a lot of money in Forex. That's the reason I always tell you guys I'm not a good entry person.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, my strategy before used to be like EMA crossover, and then I just get in, and I just hope that it goes, and I did options, and I just hope that it stay there, and I just waited, and then either I make money or I don't. So that was like a poor strategy. And then like what I did with the iron condors is I would enter in, and I just wait for my iron condors to expire worthless to collect that money. So I never close my trade. I don't manually close it. I just let it sit there all day, right? And then by the end of the day, if it closes within my range, then I just collect the money. So I
Oh.
did that. I was doing that for a month, and it was great. It was working great because I think that month was consolidation. It was just
Mhm.
consolidating, and then all of a sudden the next month it was no more consolidating. It was trending, and then when it
Mhm.
started trending, I started losing more. I started losing my money because my options play was my iron condors wasn't expiring worthless anymore because it was always hitting. So then I lost a lot of money. So I was like, okay, I gotta. I obviously I don't know what I'm doing, so I have to look at market structure now. I got to determine, is it in a consolidation zone, or is it going up or going down? Is it trending? And then I got to look at like all these. So that's why it took me so long, because I started having to refine my strategy. But yeah, that's how I started.
Okay, well, it looks like you can continue with your analysis of good news requests.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. So I look at daily now. So
Wait, wait. We're gonna be out of time, so it's gonna run into that. Let me stop the Zoom. Let me connect everybody, and you can start that. Okay?
okay,
Because we're gonna run into a dead zone very soon, within probably 5 minutes. So let's
Oh,
go ahead
you
and.
got the paid version.
No, I don't. I cancel that after uh, I lost all my money. I cancel everything. All right.
okay,
So we'll see you in about 2 minutes.
okay.
Okay.
Hello, everybody.
What's up?
I just got home. Didn't I miss anything?
Yeah, you missed the best part of it.
Who is YNT?
That's that's all I think.
Oh, oh, I see.
Yeah, you missed the best part of it because the first session uh, was done. We had to reset the timer on the free Zoom.
Yeah, you missed face charts with lines all over. I hope you guys recorded. It's
He
got
is
more
very,
lines than
very
a
advanced,
house.
guys.
I gotta record it, but you gotta be nice when I'm not sharing anything.
Ray's
Fine,
very
I'll log
advanced
off.
and organized. She's gonna make a lot of money. Gulia, we're just mental. Sometimes just do mental now these days. I just don't want to draw it. But if she draws like that, she's very organized.
I used to
I
draw.
want to counter that argument. Go new. It's just that you're that good. You don't need that many lines. You could just look at the chart and say, "Ah, it's gonna go this way," and then you're done.
But I like her chart. I like her. I like her chart. Meaning I like her thoughts of process.
Yeah, yeah. We're waiting for Mai to come back.
Whatever it is, just share with me. Or I'm not sharing anymore either myself. Not that I have
The
anything to
heck?
share anymore.
Come on, Mai, come back.
Waiting for the only thing that I used to draw was just like I said before, support and resistance lines. But then I think for the past year, I've gotten lazy too. So I stopped drawing them. I just kind of eye my support and resistance as it comes up to, or look for it when it kind of moves up or down to it.
I'm not lazy. All right. I draw things every day, but I got smart, so I just use the auto drawers now. No, seriously.
What indicator is that? That is auto for you.
It's the smart money concept. It will draw all those
Oh.
levels for me.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and those are the ones I need. If I need additional stuff, then I'll draw it in, but it will draw all those pretty much the order blocks, and you can consider those as supply and demands. It will draw the fair value gap, and those are also uh,
A indicator.
those are displacement. Yeah, those are displaced in volume imbalances. So I just use those. Okay, I think Mai is coming back. Hi, Will.
Hello.
Good to have you, Will. All right, so
Welcome back, Faye.
Okay.
all right, I think I enable sharing. Let me check.
It's a disable sharing.
Is it enabled yet?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's my crazy chart again. I'm just going through my analysis. So I already looked at my. So since this is start a new week, I look at the weekly. I start from the weekly, right? And I do this for both ES and NQ. So after I'm done with ES, then I go to my NQ and I look at all my lines over there. So this side right here is my NQ chart. Um, so I don't see anything crazy here. I drill down to my daily. I already drew my daily time frame, my daily demand zone from last week, and see it hasn't hit yet. So if I'm looking at a higher time frame, then I would expect it to come down here sometime and maybe a reaction down at my daily. That looks like around 5702. Okay, I'll drill down to my 12-hour, and I already drew my 12-hour demand zone right here. This is what I'm looking at, but right now, I don't think that's going to be a really strong 12-hour demand zone, only because this next 12 hours hasn't closed yet, right? So like if it closes green, then for me this will be a stronger 12-hour demand zone. But if I'm looking to trade this right now, I'm not done yet, but I'll just go down. I'm already like in my head. If I'm already looking at this, I'll look for a reaction up here at my 2-hour demand zone, 57.83. This is kind of a weaker level for me because Kashai, if you look over here, I drew my 12-hour from this green candle and then this red move down. So I mean this 2-hour. But if you look up here where the wicks are, like it looks like they both came back up in this area and closed down, came back, closed down, and then same thing with this red one. It came up a little bit, closed down.
So you consider a sell at the point, a short?
I'm considering a short. If it comes up here, a short at 57.87 looks like a stronger zone for me. Like, so I would expect it to come up there. So I'll look for reaction at 83 because that's where the 2-hour starts, but probably a stronger reaction at 87. So like if I do 83, if I go to 83 and like I started with micro, so if I go to 83 with like 1 or 2 micro, then I always take profit at 10 points. So I'll go in, take profit 10 points from my first contract, and I bring my second contract to break even. And then if my second contract doesn't hit and it comes back to break even, I already still make $50 on the day, you know? So like I always try to secure my profit along the way. So yeah, I didn't go over that, but that's how my strategy works. So at first when I started trading this, it used to be I will always take everything off at 20 points on ES, and I started with MES. So always off 20 points. Take my first contract off at 10, my second contract off at 20, and I would always secure 150 on the day, either 50 or 150. And then as I started trading, I started going from 2 to 3. I'm working on minis now, so I'm trying to work on, getting like 1 or 2 minis in now. But that's how I trade. So if I have a reaction off this 83, going in 2 lots, two contracts, my first contract is always off at 10 points, regardless of where I think it's going to go. Like it could go all the way down to this other demand on here at 51, but I'm still always going to take off 10 to secure my money. So that's how I started becoming more consistent because I started taking my contracts off at 10 points, and I started keeping a few money in the bank.
For the mini, one contract is worth how much per point?
Well, I think that is $12, $12.50.
Okay.
Right? Am I right, Jay? Or new? I don't know. Maybe.
Mini.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, it's 12.50.
Yeah. And then like I think.
Tick, right? Try it down per tick.
No, it's per point. I think she's talking about per point, right? Or is it a per TIG.
Well, it's points 50.
Points. So
Okay.
Yeah, ES is 50
yeah,
and Q is 20.
yeah. So yeah, I think it's 50. You did the math. I think you're right, Jay.
Yes, 50.
Yeah.
If I would say.
So always, and the reason why I started doing this is I learned it from, I joined the other group where, the guy that teaches us, he teaches supply and demand, and that's how I started learning supply and demand because I would learn it from him, and so I would every morning I would draw my supply and demand zone, and then when he comes on, he puts on his supply and demand zone. I compare my supply and demand zone with his. If it doesn't match with his, then I will ask like, why did you choose that zone? Why did you choose this zone? And then like that's how I started getting better. And then he told me his strategy. He said, I will always secure 10 points, no matter what. He trades 4 or 5 minis now, but he says I always secure one or two contracts at 10 points, at 10 points on ES. That means I already secured $1,000 for the day, and then I let the other three contracts or two contracts, however I'm in, do whatever they need to for the rest of the day. So like if I'll trail he trails them for the rest of the day. If it's on training day, that he makes a lot of money. If it's not a training day, that he always walks home with $1,000. So then that's why I started incorporating that. I started trading one or two contracts, and then always taking 10 points off of one, and then waiting, and then like bring the other one to break even, and then regardless of what it does, I know I'm always making money for the day, and that's how I became more consistent. It started to scale out instead of like scaling in. Some people scale in and scale in. I started just going in and scaling out. But yeah, this is where I'm looking at. Like for the shorter time frame, I will look at a reaction at 83, 87. I don't trade Globex. I used to trade Globex. Like every night, I would trade day and night and day and night, and I started losing money. I would make money, and then like by the time the night ends, I lost all my money. So then that's why I stopped trading Globex anymore. So even if these levels hit overnight, like 87, 83, I I won't trade them because my rule is to never trade at night because it just when I trade at night, I lose all my money. So I only trade during the day when the market opens, or sometimes I'll put in trade pre-market. But
Seems like Charles still at your stage there.
huh?
Seems like Charles still at your stage there.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to be like obsessed. Like every night I would trade, every weekend I just back test, look at which is fine, because in the beginning you have to learn. But like after a while, I just, looking at all my journals, I figured, okay, I just lose a lot of money at night. I can make a lot of money during the day, and then at night I lose it all. Or like I'll bust all of my accounts because I keep trading at night and it just doesn't move. Or like I'll trade at night and then I get so antsy that I'm always checking my trade every 5 to 10 minutes. Then I don't sleep. I can't sleep in the next day. Like I'm too tired to trade. So that's why like I don't. If my levels don't hit tonight, then that's fine. In the morning, I'll go in and I'll still consider those. But if it hits and it validates, then I take those lines off and I go in. I redo my lines again. So I'll show you that's my short term analysis. 83 and 87. I look for a reaction to short in these zones right now. Um, but as far as like looking longer time frame, if it comes down to this demand zone down here, let me see, what did it jump? 5701. If it comes down here, I would expect a stronger reaction because that's a daily demand zone. So that's like on a longer time frame. So that's like my longer time frame play. Uh, but yeah, so if I draw my zones at the lower time frame, then I do get like one or two trades during the day. But that's my analysis.
Very good.
Through Jack should also be here because looking at this, no wonder the Jays don't make any money. Jays are too simple. We don't have anything on the chart. All you guys just the chart, and I don't think Stu uses any EMAs. I think he just uses candles.
Yeah, I mean, I still look at price action too when I'm looking at it because you got to look at price action when it comes down to your zone and how it reacts there. But uh, it's just better like if you have these levels and you wait for them to come there and then you wait for it to react, and then after that you have to be strategic with your trades. Like, okay, I'm going to scale out here so I can secure some money, and then I'm gonna move the rest of it to break even. So even if it comes against me, I still make money on that day. Like you have to start thinking like that because if you just go all in and then just start scaling in and then just kind of wait and then close, like it works for a little bit, and then you have one of those days where you just lose it all.
All right, you guys.
I don't have anything else unless you guys have any more questions. That's how I trade. Just I know my lines look crazy, like super crazy.
Yeah, my I think yours has the most lines or most I've seen of any.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
let
I'm
me
happy for that.
make the request that the group's been making. When you do your analysis in the morning, will you put your analysis, at least your expectation in this case, as to what you just said about the ES, saying, hey, here's my level. If this happens, I'm looking for a short. Very simple like that.
Oh, you want me to do that in the morning?
I think that's not just me, but I think the entire group's being asking.
Okay.
Confirm that. Confirm that, Jay.
Yeah, Charles, the designated speaker for the group. So
I could. Yeah, I'll do that. It's just a lot of times in the morning, like I forget because I start doing all my lines, then I get so into it. But then by the time I'm done, I'm like watching the clock and I'm waiting for the market to open, and then I just don't think about it. But yeah, I'll try to remember.
Yeah, you know how to do a snippet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just snip it and put it on the chat and say, hey, here's my level, guys. Whether it hits or not, that's what I'm looking for. And I think that would be very helpful for the group. Surely, I want to see everyone on this group to get at least a PO by the end of this year. I think some of these people have been here for 2 years, and it's I don't know how much they have lost, but I think that for us to make a breakthrough, everyone needs to have a few POs so they can feel and build that confidence,
Yeah.
so that we can move forward. I think that's going to be a huge game changer.
It's just like when you trade, like if you're not making any money and like you keep losing, then that's when you have to go back and relook at your strategy, right? Because that's how I did in the beginning. I was doing EMAs, and I had my chart didn't look like this in the beginning. I had no lines, no nothing. I just had EMAs, and then maybe I just had like MACD, and then I just wait for the EMAs to cross, and I just get in, and then it didn't work. So I think okay, now I have to go back and refine it. So you start off with refining your strategy, and then once that strategy like kind of works for you, then you have to look at execution and contracts and scaling in and scaling out, right? So you got to think, okay, strategically, like I want to make money, so I have to protect my profits that I make. So I have to take, even if it's not going in the direction that you know, even if it doesn't hit where I think the target's going to be, I should secure some profits along the way just to know that at least I make some money that day. Right. So once I started incorporating that, then I started becoming more consistent because sometimes, you guys already know, like if you trade NQ and ES, it'll go a few points in your direction and then comes back down and then it takes you out. It goes a few points, comes back and takes you out. The reason why I'm consistent is always secure my profit at like 10 points. 20, I think for ES, it's like 10, 20 points. If it goes in a few points in my direction, I will secure a little bit of money, and then if it comes back and takes me out, like if my reaction in that zone is not strong enough, comes back and takes me out of break even, it doesn't matter because I already made, like if I do ES, I already make $500, or if I do NQ, I already made $400. So like to me, you have to like be able to do that. Like if you just think I'm just gonna let my trade play out, then it's most of the time you're not gonna secure any money. So that's the only reason why I became uh, consistent is because I started securing money along the way. You know.
And that's going to add confidence, and that'll also uh, you are also actively involved in the market, looking at what it does, and I think
Yeah.
that a lot of the time, uh, like a tu ha jail trader, I think that just using probability when you have a 10 point SL and a 20 point TP, if you just look at the probability alone, the probability of hitting the 10 is twice that of hitting 20,
Yep.
right? So I think that if you just look at the taking profit, and even if that comes back and go the other way, you can at least still make money and stay confident. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
the time, people, it doesn't matter who you are. If you take 3 hits per day, I think your mood's going to be down.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's how I build confidence too, secure my money. taking 10, 20 points and then let it come back, take me out. Well, okay, well, at least I know I still have some money and I secured it. And then once, your confidence is built and there's always reactions off your level and you take your profits along the way, then it's just, your mood is better. Because like once you start trying to hold it for the long term and it comes back and takes you out, you have negative in your account, then you start getting emotional. Then when you're emotional, you just start trading back, you just start chasing the candles now. And then once you start chasing candles, you're gonna lose all your money. So it's better. So like for me, just in the from like my trading journals, it's best for me to always secure my money, and then that way my mood stays good. Because if my mood stays good and I stay like level headed, then I can still make good decisions when I'm trading. Once like I notice like even it like I still make mistakes. I'm not perfect. Like on the days when I'm down, then I start getting really emotional. Then I start just chasing the candles instead of waiting for it to get into my zones. And I start sizing up, and then that's how I lost all my accounts like a few months ago because, I started trading emotionally. I stopped looking at my zones and my reactions off my levels. I just started tracing and trading based on the candles. If it was going up, then I just started going in and sizing up. And if it goes down, I just started sizing, going down. And then I stopped taking my profits. I wanted to wait for the long trend so that way I can get more money. So then when I stopped taking my profits, I would see like, getting green and all of a sudden it all disappears. And then that's how I lost it a few months ago. So like, so I had to go back and go back and start taking profits, just waiting for reactions, just trying to stay green. Because once you stay green, like your confidence builds and you make better decisions.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. If you guys don't have any more questions, I think we kept her long enough.
Yeah. No questions.
I don't have any more questions.
All right.
Well,
I
actually, yeah, I do. I do have one.
go
Since
ahead.
since student, I don't trade um, charts and strategies like you guys do. So, Ma, you're saying you used to just kind of just kind of go with the candles, but now now you would hold the position because you're expecting it to hit a certain supply or demand zone,
Uh huh.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. But before that, since you're just watching the candle. I mean, if it reverses or if it changes, then you just kind of close your position or to not take loss. But now, since you got your levels, you unless it reverses too much, you always kind of just stick to the position till it hits, or
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's
So like I'll go in. Like if I go in and I trade this, I think last time I traded this demand zone. Like if I trade this demand zone down here, see it came down to 30 minute down here, and it comes back up. You see it came all the way back down again to test it again. So like if I'm trading the zone, then this big wick down right here, this big red one, isn't it? It's probably gonna scare me in the moment. It's probably gonna scare me for a
Excuse
little
me.
bit, because I'm like, oh man, my position's going against me. But like, here's what you need to do. If I already secure 10 points, and that's $500 on ES, then I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm good. Do I want to risk all of that $500 to see if my zone will play out, or do I want to break even and secure $500 on the day? So it depends. Like if it comes all the way down, see this zone's already actually invalidated because I can already tell on it already. It came down. If you look down this 1 hour, this perfect test on 1 hour, but but if it comes all the way down and it validates my zone, then I think, okay, so now I'm wrong. So you got to determine like on the like, and I do that on the spot. Do I want to come back and break even and make sure I get $500, or do I want to just let it sit there and see, risk like maybe half of that, 250, and see if it bounces. So if sometimes if I do that, it bounces out. But majority of the time, I will take $500, let it break even, and then if it bounces again, I'll take that same trade again. See, and if I take that same trade right here, again, if you guys look at my chart, if I take the same trade right here at this zone again, see, it worked out for me. It just kept going, and at that point, I'll secure another 500, right? And then I'll take my second contract to break even, and I'll just trail it down on the 15 minutes here. So I'll show you guys. I'll just trail. See, take this long, and I'll just trail it behind each one of these. See, it would have probably taken me out already right here because I would trail behind the candle on the 15 minute.
okay.
But that's how like you start securing. So the first one will come here 10 minutes, will take my 10 points. It comes back down, takes me out, and I wait. See, I see this big reaction right here, this candle.
Mhm.
Oh, let me undo that. See, I see this little doji candle right here. It's another reaction. I love it when it comes down and it wicks. That's like a good reaction for me. I probably take it after opening this next candle, right? So I'll take another one right here, and then my stop will probably be down below here because this zone, because I would say, okay, I don't want to risk the rest of my $500 that I just made, but I'll just risk a little bit. So I'll take that, and then take another 10 points. Once it comes 10 points, I take that 10-point first contract off, and then let my second contract trail, and just follow it, and then eventually it will take me out up here. But I'm okay because then that's like $1,000 already on the day for me. So like does see so that does that make sense? Like that's how I do it.
Yeah.
And if it comes back all the way down, and it comes back down below here, then I know my zone's not right anymore. So take me off take me off break even, come down here, and at that point, if I don't have another, like I have another demand zone, so I will wait for a reaction in this demand zone. But like if it comes down here and sometimes it bounces, it'll come back up and it goes back down below this demand zone, then now I'm looking for shorts because now it's bouncing and it comes down below my demand zone here and it tested back up and it came back down. Then now that's the time when I'm like, okay, now I need to start looking for shorts instead of for longs now because the trend's coming down now. It tested my demand zone, the top of my demand zone, it came back down below it. So that means it's probably going to move downwards. So like that's how it kind of looks. So just look at what price action is doing at that minute during that time, but how it reacts off my zone. So now instead of like just chasing some, like I used to just chase these green candles, and then like when it comes red like this, and I get scared and I get out and I lose my money, and then goes back up, and I'm like, damn, I should just held it. But once you start just trading based off the zones and just following what the candles are doing, instead of just FOMOing in, then it's securing your money along the way, then you become more consistent.
Yeah, for me, I've been scalping for ever since started with Apex. I've been scalping most of that time, and trying to transition to trend holding. It's kind of hard. The trader's mentality, the scalper's mentality is that when it goes up, and especially trading with Apex, I don't want to give much back, and so now that I'm trying to transition to holding longer, it's hard for me to hold when it's when I see so many green candles up. I know it's gonna pull back at some point, and the trader's scalper's mentality is that I can exit and then re-enter when it pulls back, and then I can re-enter.
Yeah. So
But sometimes sometimes I don't re-enter just because okay, well I made some gain, so it don't look too good, or for some reason I don't re-enter. But I mean that's one of the reasons I've been having trouble getting back into trend holding.
yeah. So okay. So for Apex, and this is how I pass my Apex evals, right? Uh, I do scalps like you, and but I only scalp it off my zones, and I will take like 10 points, and or like on ES I'll only take 10 points, or like on NQ I'll only take 20 points, and I don't take any more than that. And then after I pass that, and I go to my PA round, the same thing. Then once I pass the threshold, then that's when I start holding long term and building more contracts, because like Apex has that trailing drawdown that takes you out. So I can't hold like how I'm doing now. I can't hold it for it to come back and break even, because when it comes back and breaks even, I'm already $500 trailing down drawdown, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I do it. I'll come in, I'll take this trade only for 10 points, wait for it to get 10 points, and then get out of my trade. And then I wait for another reaction off that zone if it comes back. And I take it for another 10 points. And then, I just start building like that. Just take it in, take it off, take it in, take it off real quick. And then you just gotta, at that point, like if I trade Apex, I will watch the candles, just because you can't have a lot of, you can't let it go against you too much because you'll lose your account. So that's how I started passing evals more consistently, because I just started taking only 10 points or 20 points and just doing one contract or do two contract if I feel like that's a good trade, and then just taking off at 10, 20 points, and then waiting for another reaction off my zone, and then take another quick 10 or 20 points. And I don't let it trail. I don't follow the trend. I don't let it, I don't trail it. I don't let it follow. I don't do anything. I don't think, oh, it's going to hit this target, so I'm going to hold. I just take quick, go in, take a quick 10 points, go out, wait for another reaction, go in, take another quick 10. And then that's how I started passing more consistently. And the same thing in the PA round, do the same thing. And then once you're past that threshold and then you don't have that trailing drawdown anymore, then that's when I start holding longer. So like that's how I pass the apex evals.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do that, you wait and you wait, then you know the trailing drawdown is going to get you. But that's only for apex. I think like uh, when I trade Top Step and my funded futures, I I trade my other strategy where I hold it. I scale out and I hold my positions to like see where it goes because you know that's in a day, so
Yeah.
that doesn't matter to me. But if you want to do apex and you want to pass, then that's for me. That's the only way I pass their evals.
Yeah. That's a safe way to pass it.
Yeah.
Hey, it's better than me. I can't pass it, so I'll just go and buy the FTT.
But that's straight to funded, so you have that. It's just DCAs is really dangerous because you know these days what I used to do when I trade options, directional options, just puts and calls, and it was working. It works great when it makes money, you know. And then like all of a sudden one day lose it all, and I start building up my small account again, and it make a lot of money. And then one day I just lose it all again because I keep DCing, and then that's why like I don't DCA anymore. The only time I would DCA, you know, and I lied because I do DCA sometimes, is it if it comes back into my demand zone, I see another reaction, and let's say I didn't take it off at break even, then I would build in another contract and take it off and then do it. But like I have zones where I DCA into, and I don't go more than like two, three, like four contracts, five contracts. So when I was doing now that I'm trying to build like trade minis, like I don't do any more than four or five contracts on minis if I'm building into my contract. But then you know I started with micros, and when I did micros, like I didn't go from I didn't do 10 contracts, you know, because that's one mini. I just started from between one and five macros, uh, and then I started just I used that to refine my strategy. You know, like what works best for you. You know, is scaling out better, or to shut I hold all my five contracts to target. Like the probability of me of it holding all five contracts to target is is kind of low. So I found out like if I start taking profits along the way, even if it comes back and breaks even, I still make money. Sometimes if it does go and hit target, then I make more money. So that's the only way I became more consistent.
Yeah. Now let me say a few things about the DCA. So I like DCA, and I think I've been using it. It almost killed me twice last week.
Yeah, you got
Actually,
screwed.
it killed me once, and they reset it, so I got very lucky there. Um, but the more difficult part is I think for any trade at all is to actually get the entry right, right? If you
Yeah,
get the entry right, then you really don't need to DCA. If you don't get the entry right, you ended up doing DCA, and uh, if it passes in levels and you don't call it off, then it's game over. And so I think that one of the things that even if you're going to do DCA, the thing to improve, at least on my part, is to actually find a better entry and know that when a tray becomes invalidated, I think with those two, it doesn't matter whether you DCA or not, you should still be safe.
yeah,
So those are the two conclusions I came to after uh, losing once and then reset it and almost lost it again on Friday. So I think that it's very dangerous, but if we get the levels right, uh, and also know when to invalidate the tray, I think that should be okay. So
and yeah, and that's why I like supply demand zones because I know when my level is invalidated. You know, because if it goes into my zone and it pops up on the other side, then I know I'm not right about that anymore. So that's already incorrect. So that's why I like my supply demand. I use and then like support resistance for me. I don't trade often off of that because there's no point of validation for me. Like I don't see a point of validation for that. So that's why like I don't do a lot of support resist. I keep it there, and sometimes I might trade off of it depending on the situation. But um, I like the supply and demand zone better because I know where it's invalidated and I know where like I need to take off my trade. Um, and if it goes into my zone a little bit, comes back out, sometimes I'll build in my positions there, or I just take profits off and then just wait to see what the rest does. So I think for you, like you've been doing well, but I think the last time when you lost it, you just kept moving your stop from that zone because I saw you drew your FVG, right? Those were FVGs.
Yeah.
I saw you draw those, and then it looks like you just kept moving your stop. I think if you let yourself stop out and then you kind of wait a little bit and you build in your position again, you probably would have been okay.
Yep. That was a same conclusion I came back with. That not only that, when I took that trade, I did not look at the 15 minute. I was actually at work and I had only one screen up, and I didn't see the 15 minute. So uh, if I had saw the 15 minute structure, I would have just take the loss, but I didn't see it. I said, okay, this is going to be
Right.
a liquidity sweep and it's going to go up, and it didn't. It went all the way down. Seriously, I was like an act of God at that point, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So one thing I also want to tell you guys when you're trading is you have to look for confluence in your trade, right? So like you have to look for multiple things to go in your favor before you take a trade. So sometimes I do just base off those zones, but I just want to show you guys something real quick here. Like one trade that I took that worked very well for me over here is if you look at NQ, this is a 4 hour demand zone right here. I took this trade last time, but it also like if you see this yellow line, this is a trend line. It was forming a wedge. So here's my confluence. It came down to the demand zone and it touched this trend line. So like if I see a confluence like that, like two or three confluence where everything lines up, then I usually take those trades and I will take those trades with heavier size because the probability is on my side. Another trade that I missed last week that I pointed out to you guys is this trade right here. If we go down, and you can see confluence in this trade. Here's a 1 hour demand zone with a 61 fib level right here. Those are confluences, and I think if I looked at something else, I can't remember. It was there was a third confluence to this. I can't remember what it was. But when I see 2 to 3 confluence here, I go in heavier size in those trades because there's the probability of it working in my favor is high because there's so many things going on and there's so many levels there that I know it's going to bounce. And you see it bounce very well. Like I like to see it come down and then it has a strong wick here. So those zones, a strong reaction, and if you take those trades, those are usually better trades. But yeah, I just want to point out when you trade and you have levels and you want to if you want to be a good trader, you want to start looking for confluences in your levels.
Yep. Or you would have to have a level and then wait for reactions before entering.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
Okay, you guys, I think that'll do it. We'll do another session next Sunday if we have presenters. So you guys have a good night.
Well, thank you,
All
Ben.
right. All right. You're welcome. Good night.
Okay, bye.